Good evening, folks. Welcome to the BFFL Podcast. I can't tell you how excited I am to be back. It's been months. It's currently November 16th, the year of our Lord 2020. You may notice that Ryan Ghilani's not here. His absence is excused. Ryan Hartz is not here as well. His absence is certainly not excused. But we do have Ryan Gotti and Mike Mocilan here on the pod. Welcome, gents.
Thanks,
Doyle. Yeah, thanks, Doyle.
And pleasure to have you. And I'd be remiss if I didn't give a shout out to our sponsor this week, Schartz's Egg Farm LLC, Avonworth's finest egg supplier, straight from the chicken to your table. Don't trust these multinational corporations with your eggs. You don't know what kind of hormones they're pumping in the chickens. You don't know what they're doing with the eggs. These, honestly, you don't even refrigerate them. They're so fresh. No need to. Schartz's Egg Farm LLC, homegrown for the whole family. And boys, I can't even tell you how happy I am to be back in the saddle on the BFFL pod. Honestly, we've got some winners this year sitting here on this pod. How are you guys feeling about your team so far?
So far, so good. Let's keep it rolling.
I'd say. What about you, Moch?
Feeling great about my team. Nothing better than, honestly, pulling up my fantasy ESPN app every day and looking at that roster. Just there's no better feeling, really. I mean, Josh Allen, dude's a fucking just such a huge wang, man.
Yep.
Great to lead my team at the top of the roster. And you go down, it ends with another big dick Herbert down below.
Great pickup. Great pickup.
Imagine if you didn't draft weenie arm Danny Jones to start.
Yeah, it's great to get rid of him. And
might be.
Guy on there. But I don't know if you guys saw my new team name, Barbecue Chicken. You want to know why
I don't understand it.
Well, you'll understand now. The reason my team name is that is because my team cooks, man.
Oh, I see. All right. Great.
A little bit of a stretch, I think. I mean, what do you say? 3 or something?
Well, I just wanted to let everyone know because I figured no one would have gotten it. But
yeah,
that's a hint that it's not the best name if people aren't getting it.
Just describing my team. That's all.
Well, we'll do a deeper dive into your team a little bit later in the pod. Believe it or not, this is the first pod we've done since before week 1. It's been a mixture of things. Mostly, even despite COVID, people just got busy, work, family, etc. But luckily, we're back in the saddle and hope to be doing so, weekly as the year goes on. We're getting into crunch time. But since we haven't talked in this forum since before the season, let's talk about who had the best and worst draft. The best draft, Gotti, do you have any thoughts on who had the best draft this year?
Yeah, I certainly think that your team is in the running for best draft. My team, I had a decent draft. I wouldn't say it was one of the best. Couple good picks, and then a couple maneuvers to have a solid squad. And then honestly, I liked Wheezy's draft at the time, but that just really hasn't worked out. I don't think you could put him in for worst draft because I agree with the process, right? I mean, not all of us have the Hartz luck or the Ghilani luck or the Hani luck where you're no matter what you do, your team's great. And Wheezy, he was able to get CMC at 3. You're thinking that's a steal. I thought Drake coming back on the second pick, Drake would be a great late round 2 pick. And I don't even remember who he took as his wide receiver 1. But he looked to have a great team and then able to pick up Jonathan Taylor. You think he's going to fill in for CMC? And has not went that way at all for Team Weezy. Let's see, you got 50-some points this week.
Yeah. His team's falling apart. I mean, I think it's obvious that you had the best draft, Gotti.
You think?
Yep.
Yeah.
Hard to argue that.
Your team's from top to bottom. I mean, you made one trade, and your team top to bottom is like pretty solid, like depth-wise. And you got Cook and Aaron Jones. Those are both top 5 running backs, right?
Cook and Aaron.
Cook's obviously the best. Aaron Jones is definitely top 5, and Aaron Rodgers is top probably top 5, right? Is he top 5 quarterback right now?
Yeah, he is. And you know what? Gotti's team is a great example of, hey, we need to play the games. Because I think looking at Gotti's team, maybe, people were kind of down on Aaron Rodgers, wasn't sure if Aaron Jones could come back, Mike Evans, a lot of
Right.
mouth to feed. And then he had a lot of question marks that have turned out to be pretty good pickups. Like Noah Fant's been great. He's got Jerry Jeudy in there. He's got Matt Ryan. And obviously it's all headlined by Dalvin Cook, who's gone scorched earth. I mean, when you're talking about best draft, the one guy who's got over 100 points more than any other team, I mean, you got to say he's probably done the best job, right?
Yeah, I do want to talk about Connor's team, but real quick before we get to that, I do want to say that I was able to draft Dalvin Cook by Michael Mocilan right here, selecting one pick further back in the PIP, and I was able to get Cook. And you get stuck with CEH?
Well, see that. I mean, it's really not. I wouldn't have been.
That's his team right there.
I'm a little bummed by giving you Dalvin Cook, but at the same time, like I blew it even more by not taking Derrick Henry right behind. Like I could have Derrick Henry.
Right.
Yep.
What did Ricky get Derrick Henry at? Was he behind me? Did he get it right after me?
Yeah, I think he took him first round. But yeah, I really.
No, it must have been. No, Andrew was behind me. So who did Andrew take? Does anyone have the draft up?
Andrew has Kamara, so Andrew took Kamara.
So then it went, I think, Derrick Henry after that.
Yeah, you could have taken either of those two, Moch, and your team.
Yeah.
7, 8, 9 wins right now.
What really got me with CEH is all Kareem Hunt, because Kareem Hunt was such a beast for them. Like it ruined it for me, and I think everyone else that took CEH was also feeling the same way.
And if you remember week 1, you felt like you had, the best back in the league, right? Didn't he go off week 1?
Yeah, but I still wasn't like just watching the game. Like he had a few nice runs, but it still wasn't like Kareem Hunt, man. Like Kareem Hunt just had another different gear when his rookie year. Man, I don't know.
Yeah, he was getting stuffed on the goal line a couple times that week 1 too.
Yeah, right. Too small, man.
But I still really got to say that Doyale's team on best draft, because everybody was saying Superflex isn't 2 QB and blah blah blah, trying to go against the grain, and he just called it for what it was. Yes, it is 2 QB. Guess what I'm doing? I'm taking 2 QBs with my first 2 picks. Those happen to be bad ones.
Is he cutting out for anybody? For you? God, you're cutting out right
Yeah,
now.
a little bit.
There you go. I can hear you now.
Filled in nicely with, I think you took Godwin as your wide receiver 1. Hasn't totally worked out, but still great pick. I know you got Mostert ready to come back for the playoff run here. That's another nice one. James Conner, late round value. Pulling together a pretty nice squad there, leaning into the two QB.
Absolutely. And you know what? The thing that no one really wants to hear, I know that all the haters and losers out there are going to be pretty disturbed, but the reality is, battled outside of my QBs, battled injuries all up and down the lineup all year. Chris Godwin's played like maybe 3 full games. He's currently wide receiver 61. I've had Raheem Mostert, who when he plays is an RB1. He's spectacular. He's barely played as well. And obviously there's a few other examples there. I've had to shuffle guys in and out. Luckily, DeAndre Swift coming back. Might have to replace JC with Mostert when the time comes, depending on how he does. But honestly, feeling great going into the playoff stretch. I honestly, because my division sucks so bad, I pretty much have a spot locked up. I don't think I can be caught at this point, and this is a rare feeling for me. So I appreciate the kudos there, Gotti.
Yeah, knock on wood before we get too far down the line there.
What's up with James Conner though? Like I didn't realize how the past couple weeks he's been pretty bad. Like I was surprised. Like I don't know. Just by watching the game, I didn't realize it until I looked at his stats. I saw someone I think it was Colin Dunlap this morning saying how he's not worried about the Steelers' run game because Ben throws a bunch of short passes. I'm like, has the running game really been that bad? And I looked, and like James only had like 40 yards this week and like 30 yards the week before, and they're against two terrible teams.
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird. This past game, he kept trying to like bounce it outside, and he's just not fast enough to do it. He had a bunch of tackles for losses, but they just don't seem to be getting a push in the run game, which is weird because the offensive line has done such a great job protecting Ben. It's just weird that they can't get that like forward push for JC, but
that's got to change because
super about it, although it's a little concerning, but
it's gonna be concerning when we play, like if we ever play like Mahomes or something in the playoffs. Like we're gonna need to run the clock. You can't be just out against the Chiefs, man. That would be the only way you beat the Chiefs is by running the ball, keeping them off the field.
Yep.
Yeah, I think a lot of it has been game plan. I don't know why. Even this last drive in the game, right? You figure you're just trying to run out the clock. We get the ball down close. We have like a reverse. Don't even hand it off to JC, and then we're still thrown, and we get the top right, put the game away. But I think once he gets carries and games that are closer, he'll get those carries, and he'll be all right. Not super.
Yeah, I'm not worried about it.
Yeah.
All right, so we give Doyley the best draft award.
I think we're giving you the best draft award, but that's okay. I know. I don't know if you're worried about jinxing yourself or something.
I'm just not sure how many awards you want to give me here tonight.
Yep. I guess we are going to be giving you best team as well. But who you got for worst draft then?
I wish we could pull it up, but
gotta be Gino or Noon, right?
Again, with the leadership here. Well, Hanhart, he mixed it up. He didn't put the players in right, so it's kind of tough.
Well, I can't blame him for that. It was a thankless task,
That's true. Commissioner's a thankless job.
He had to go back because we didn't have a proper, some sort of rule was not correct. I don't know. It was a disaster. But yeah, I mean, when you look at Noon, I'm not sure. And I'd have to go back and look, and I really haven't, but I'm not sure there's ever been a team just so utterly devoid of talent before in this league. And I hate to say it, I really do, especially because it's Noon's birthday. Sorry, buddy. Happy birthday. But
even though he's not going to watch this.
It's just tough. His quarterbacks are good, but everything else is just rough. It's just rough, and he has Kareem Hunt, which is his best player, but everything else is rough. And he traded away someone good for Deontay Johnson, right? Who did he give you?
He gave me Bell, and he gave Julio.
Oh yeah, he gave away Julio. That's
Kareem
right.
And McKinnon.
Who was his first pick?
That'd be Julio, right?
Yeah, it must have been.
Couldn't have been. First pick?
Yeah, maybe not.
I mean, you might be right.
Did he have Saquon?
Yeah.
He had first pick.
Tough break.
He had first pick.
Okay, so he lost his first pick, so I think that's unfair.
I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, so there's got to be someone else. Let's look at who else is just bad.
Chillin said, Gino, that was
his draft was over the second he took Lamar second overall.
We took Lamar. I don't totally hate. Like, I think if I was first pick, it would have been CMC, and then Mahomes. And you get that guy. Another one too.
You're cutting out, buddy.
It makes a big difference.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I'm lucky that he took Lamar because that's who I wanted to take, and luckily I ended up taking Mahomes instead because I was pretty steadfast on wanting a QB early. But I mean, Lamar, I mean, it's unfortunate he's not anywhere close to where he was last year. But even if you take that out of the equation, not a lot of talent on this team. He has Travis Kelce. Obviously, that's a huge advantage at tight end, but he's not making up points anywhere else. He has the second least points in the league. Running backs are a disaster.
They're Gurley, right? Honestly, I don't know what happened after round 4. It was like, okay, Gurley's okay, running back 2, right? He's a pretty solid RB2, but
Yeah, he's been good actually, Gurley, despite everyone being pretty low on him. So I mean that Gurley's so I guess it's not a total disaster, but obviously, when you're starting, J.K. Dobbins, you're starting Chase Claypool, who's really a boomer bust guy. He's just not getting the points he needs on a weekly basis. He's really lagging behind in the points department here. He's second last, like I said, afternoon.
I don't know what he was doing on his draft because he's got Claypool and Jefferson are starting wide receivers right now, but he picked both those guys up. It's like a crazy amount of fab.
Yep.
Man, I don't even know who he drafted. It's got to be the worst draft because I don't know where these guys are coming from.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good point. Who did he draft wide receiver wise?
Marquise Brown. I know he drafted Marquise Brown.
He did, and he's been a huge disappointment, really.
Right. Yeah, him and Lamar killed that team. Other than those two, I don't even know who he drafted. Todd Gurley. I think he drafted Devin Singletary, didn't he? That he doesn't have anymore.
Yep. And there's 3 teams under 800 points who really have separated themselves from the pack. The other's Mahar. And I know that he took his first round pick has been a total bust. Obviously, Fast Mike has been a massive disappointment. Yeah, even now that he's back, he's just seems to be in the doghouse or something. I don't know exactly what's going on, but he went all in on the Bucks, but unfortunately, he took the wrong Bucks. Brady's been good, but Leonard Fournette not good. And I know he had another Bucks player at one point. I think it was Gronkowski. So I mean, he kind of went all in on the Bucks, and it didn't work out.
Speaking of not working out, I'd like to change the subject just a little bit. Who had I thought had a really good draft that didn't pan out is Ghilani. Like Ghilani's team, like if you look at his on paper, like his roster, like his team's really good, and it's like just very unfortunate what happened to his team. Like,
yeah, I actually agree with you. I remember thinking that how is this team so bad, and it's almost just beyond anything you can
credit for Ghilani luck, but it's truly I think a Ghilani luck situation. Like,
yeah.
I would say above average draft. Nothing to write home about.
Yeah, no, but it might be like.
Can't do anything about the Dak injury. That sucks with Zeke and Amari, right? That is killer.
Yeah. That seems to have just destroyed Zeke's value there.
Deshaun Watson kind of has been very good this year. Zeke, obviously.
Chris Carson, a little bit disappointing.
Yeah. It's just unfortunate. I mean, honestly, with what was I gonna say? It's just like one of the better 2-7 teams. Was he 2-7 now? Like that's one of the better 2-7 teams I've ever seen on paper, honestly.
Yeah, but I think he's getting a win this week. It just hasn't registered in the system yet because we're waiting for. But I think he is getting a win this week. But yeah, unfortunate, man. I didn't think he had a bad draft either. It kind of actually reminds me of teams I've had in the past. Just it's not awful, but everything just goes wrong, and there's not enough points to keep you afloat there. I definitely feel for Ghilani, and honestly, a poor Ghilani team is bad for the league. You notice his engagement's down a little bit. He's not in the group throwing his weight around. So he's not talking shit. So it's a loss.
I hate Zeke, man. I've never been a Zeke guy. He loves Zeke.
He loves him. But I did actually want to bring up this point because I was thinking about this. Currently, I think about 70% of the current playoff field is no squirrel mafia, which is like unheard of. Like,
let's go, boys.
Gotti's won before, but he's almost like an honorary no squirrel mafia because he's like usually sucks. But the top
last 4 years I've been competitive.
The top 4 teams in points are Gotti, Andrew, Moch, and me. Obviously, Andrew, Moch, and myself, no squirrel mafia. And then Hani's 5th, and then you got. Wait, actually, no, hold on. I didn't have that right. No, that's right. Then you got Tricky Ricky and Wheeze. So 6 of the top 7 teams in points are no squirrel mafia.
And 2 are in my division.
And that's amazing. So, but when you think about it, that means a lot of teams who normally are playoff teams like Gino, Ghilani, Pat, at least recently, Hartz, Hani, they are kind of experiencing the other side of the coin. Although Hani probably should make the playoffs anyway, and I think he is projected to make the playoffs right now. But these teams are not good at being on the bottom, right? So they don't want to engage. Their team's bad. They're just out. They're out. They don't. Whereas I know I pride myself on, even if I am like 2-7, I'm gonna talk shit. I'm gonna try to have fun with it, do whatever. These guys don't know how to lose with dignity. They just check out completely, and I think that's a bad thing for the league.
Sore losers.
Yep. I agree. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if these guys they're not setting, they are setting their lineups, but you can tell their heart's just not in it. It's just not in it. And I think that they should really think about what's best for the league. What's best for the league is everyone stay engaged, keep talking shit, keep trying to pull the upset, don't lose your, it's not over until the fat lady sings.
Everything you just said is 100% why this league needs a punishment. Like that's it. Like if there was punishment, people wouldn't be doing what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
Need a like this league's a freaking joke. I'm fed up, man.
Well, listen, the two biggest instigators are Ghilani and Hartz, and they are both on the outside looking in, so they're not as engaged. They're just not used to not really being around in the crunch time of the season, and so they're not engaged, and it's really kind of taken something away from the overall rivalries and feeling of like intensity. Because guess what? Andrew's too nice to talk too much smack. I don't want to jinx myself, so I'm not talking a bunch of smack. Like Ricky's too nice to talk too much smack. Like it's all just kind of it's almost like a friendly season. Everyone's being too friendly.
I just don't get how hard it is to put out the league format and all the rules and vote on it. Put out vote on the freaking rules and the format and decide on a punishment. Like how hard is that? For whatever reason, it seems like it's the most difficult thing in the world with this league, and I don't get it.
Yeah, I think
we need to go back to one commissioner too. I'm done with this three, because obviously the three commissioner format is the worst leadership that we've ever had. Am I not wrong? No offense to you, Doyle. It's just like I feel like with three commissioners, no one can come up with no one can take a stand. There's just too much free for all. It seems. I don't know.
I like if there's like truly like a 50-50 thing, commissioners got to decide. I like not one person having to decide, because
it should be one commissioner and then another person decide, help them decide.
Yeah, no matter what they say, it could be taken like they're biased for one side or the other. Like, oh, well, that's your brother, or that's your team, or that's the team that's in your division that's looking to beat your team,
And to be honest, it's because of the trolling, the relentless trolling by the Hartzes and the Gaudis and everything. Like one single person can't take all of that heat. And I agree with you. I think we can all step up and be better. But really, I mean, one person cannot handle all the heat. Okay. I mean, the Hartz and Gaudi trolling is enough to break any man.
So I have an idea about that. Like, to avoid all the trolling and everything you just said, like, it should never all the what we're going to be voting on, the format, all that stuff should not be discussed in the group message. What I would agree on with the three commissioners is not the three commissioners, is to have the three people like me. I'd be fine with you, Hartz, and we could put Hartz in it. You, Hartz, like Gaudi or Ghilani and Hani, come up with all the rules, like what we're going to vote on. Put it on a sheet. And everyone votes. You guys come up with whatever it is. You guys can argue and yell amongst you four, and then come up with.
Then you vote.
No discussion, nothing. Like you guys just put it all together, and then we vote on it as a league.
I think that it would be good if we could do this at the PYP.
Or that. Yeah, discuss in person.
agree to all the rules.
I'll be down with that.
PYP, everything's been checked off on a piece of paper. Have like a rules summit /PYP.
Yeah, just have a discussion in person because people won't be trolling as much in person. The Hearts, I'm sure, would still be.
Well, you'll get trolling, but
not as bad as when you're sitting there in group meet.
And make what you think's best.
Yeah, and I honestly think there's not a ton of rule changes that need to be made. I've enjoyed Superflex. I think it's a fun wrinkle. But I do think we should add an extra flex so that I feel like there's too many good players on benches, and you're right, we do need a loser punishment.
I just want to see what the league thinks, see what everyone feels, and see what the majority ones.
Yeah, I think that we could have the rules discussion pushed to a later pod.
Yeah, we talked so much about the rules before the season. We don't need to bog ourselves down. We're in the thick of it. There's too much fun stuff to talk about.
Yeah. All right.
So I mean, I guess we'd all agree that the best team as it stands right now is Gaudy, and the worst team is Noon. I mean, you can't argue with the results, really.
Yeah. See, it kind of makes me nervous with Gaudy because when Gaudy won, what was it, like 4 years ago, whatever it was, like your team this year reminds me a lot of that team. Just pure dominance, man.
I think that other team's better. That team he had 2, 3, or 3 years ago was better.
You think?
Yeah.
His quarterback was like Phillip Rivers.
It didn't matter. Yeah, it didn't matter.
You had Mark Ingram.
Melvin.
Yeah, he had prime Todd Gurley. He was getting like 3 touchdowns a game.
No, you didn't have Todd. You didn't have Todd Gurley.
I don't think I had Todd.
You had Mark Ingram, Melvin Gordon. I can't remember who your wide receivers were. You had Michael Thomas.
Oh yeah, Mikey T.
It was
good.
Your team it just clicked every week like your team's clicking now. It just has the same vibe to it.
Well, is it clicking? Because he just put up a stinker and lost. Yeah, that's the thing. I mean,
his team got scared.
That's probably because Dalvin Cook was out and couldn't score 40 points. But all right, no, Dalvin Cook still has to go tonight, right? I guess he could still lose, Moch.
I'm up by like 50 points and I got Thielen.
Oh, okay. All right.
My team's not that good. Well, it's pretty good, but it really is just good because I have like Rodgers and Ryan. Like maybe not top 5 QBs. Maybe Rodgers is right on the edge, but like both are pretty solid top 10. Yeah. And I got Cook and Jones, and then I have Julio and Evans, and neither of those guys are like top 5 wide receivers, top 10 wide receivers, but any given week they could blow up.
Dude. What I noticed with Mike Evans is a totally different wide receiver now with Tom Brady, though. I've noticed like Mike Evans was so boom or bust with Jameis Winston because they just chucked the ball up, but like I've noticed Mike Evans is now like Tom Brady's favorite target in the red zone.
Yeah, it's annoying. It really is.
Very annoying. Like when I was watching yesterday, like every time they got in the red zone, he's looking at Mike Evans every time.
Yep.
Like that's gonna be huge for you.
I love it. I don't know what he was doing last week. He was like didn't even want to throw it to him.
Yeah, that's the thing with Tampa Bay. It's almost like if it felt like last week Evans didn't do anything, and this week they were throwing it to him like 6 times in the red zone. He had a touchdown. So I think we pretty much are all in agreement who the worst division is. I mean the woke ones have the two of the worst teams in the whole league, so you really can't argue too much with that. But I will say, a bad division winning a bad division doesn't make you a bad team, Ryan Hartz. You can only play who's in front of you. I'd say that the best division is quite obviously No Squirrel Mafia, just because it's the deepest from top to bottom. It has 3 of the top 6 scoring teams, or 3 of the top 7 scoring teams. So, I mean, to me, that's the best division right now.
Yeah, it feels pretty good to be leading that right now. I'm not gonna lie.
Interesting. So you would put the No Squirrel Mafia division ahead of the Penis Sucker division?
Oh no.
Yeah. Well, because Mahar has a really bad team.
Mahar,
so I think
for sure.
I think obviously Andrew is above everyone in SM at least right now. And I think actually, as a side note, people are sleeping on Andrew because he has some injury. He's had that Ridley injury, so like one of his best players has been out. So I think people are sleeping on Andrew a little bit, but he still has the second most points in the whole league by a pretty comfortable margin over the third person, which is me. So I think I still think that there's just a lot of depth to the No Scroll Mafia division that you can't, to me, you can't really argue with that. It's like the the AFC North back in the day. It's like, yeah, does it have the top talent? Not always, but it's always a tough, grinded out, a lot of competitors in the division. So that's just how I feel about it.
Yeah, I agree. If Wheezy team ever puts it together, they're there. Tricky Ricky, I don't want to see Derrick Henry come wintertime, so I hope he does not make it. And Moch with a solid squad, definitely for sure. So, yeah, I would pick that as well. What's that?
Like, it's amazing to me that how many points Andrews put up with Carson Wentz and used to be what's his name, Jared Goff, and now he's got Drew Lock. Like, what? Like, what the fuck? Where do those points come from? I really don't.
Because Calvin, honestly, Kamara and Calvin Ridley
have been
just
unreal, unbelievable.
They're both so good.
And Allen Robinson.
Yeah, Allen Robinson's number 9 wide receiver coming into today.
Crazy.
I mean,
there's a lot of guys that you wouldn't have expected to have big years. I feel like are having big years.
Yep, he's got Darren Waller, who's pretty good player to have.
That's the under the radar clutch. He's like the only other good tight end outside of Kelts.
Waller.
Yeah, GB seems pretty good. I mean, he's second best squad to this point, I'd say.
Yeah, he's got the 2 seed. Obviously, Gotti has the 1 seed, and then as it stands right now, Mocilan would have that 3 seed against Ricky, and I would be playing Hani up on the top part of the bracket. And I honestly, my goal, which it's going to be tough because you have a 1-game lead. But I do play you later in the year, Mocilan. I think I play you in 2 weeks, which might loom big. But I want to get down on the bottom part of the bracket. I don't want to be on the top part of the bracket against Gotti.
I want to face On Heart Luck in the playoffs, man. I've been there many times. Don't want to face On Heart. You better hope that changes.
Nope. And I want to get down on the bottom. I want to play potentially Andrew in a second round matchup instead of Gotti, because Gotti, like you said, just has that feeling of that buzzsaw. Like he's just a points machine.
Absolutely.
But anyway, one thing we wanted to touch on, notable trades or acquisitions this season. I was trying to think. There has not been really a bunch of blockbusters, as I actually didn't realize that the trade deadline was this past week. I went to go try to make a trade like last Thursday, and it told me I couldn't because the trade deadline had passed. I didn't even realize that was coming up. But I think the biggest, I don't know, I guess it was last Sunday or something.
I had no idea. I was actually thinking about that trade too.
But yeah, I mean, one of the big trades I remember is Noon and Gotti made a big trade. I know that Moch made a big trade. I forget. I don't even remember.
I got Diggs for Mark Andrews. Ended up being a great deal for me.
I was talking so much smack on that, but that's a stroke of genius. Yeah, that was a great trade.
Yeah, at the time it wasn't as bad as it ended up being now. Looking back on it, for how bad the Ravens been, but
yeah, and Diggs has just been great.
Both my trades kind of like happened the same way. Like I offered Hani Diggs or Andrews, and he like didn't accept. And then the week went by, and then the next week I'm like my phone just pops up and it says that he offered it to me again, and then I accept it. And the same thing happened with my Deontay Johnson deal with Noon.
Mm-hmm.
I offered him, the trade, and he didn't accept it. And then a week later, he offered it back to me. It's like, same thing.
After Deontay had a big game.
Yeah, looking back on that, it just it sucks because I probably shouldn't have made that Le'Veon Bell deal, but I mean, Deontay Johnson would have rotted on my bench. So It is what it is. And now I got some little bit of depth, so I don't know. I don't think it hurt me one way or the other.
Yep.
Let's Gotti taking phone calls in the mid pod. Come on, rule number one.
Let me take a look here at Gotti's trade he made. So Gotti gave up AJ Green.
Yeah, I saw Noon.
Wait, no, it wasn't AJ Green. No, Gotti got Julio Jones for. I'm trying to think for
Kareem Hunt and Jarek McKinnon. No, he traded Jerry Jeudy too, or not Jerry Jeudy. Yeah, who was it? No, he got what's his name? Michael Gallup is in the deal too.
Oh, so okay.
Gallup and Jones went to Gotti, and then McKinnon and Kareem Hunt went to Noon.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously Kareem Hunt is a top 10 back, which is an unbelievably valuable thing, but he doesn't really need. I don't even think he'd start Kareem Hunt on his team because he's already set.
Right.
So I'm gonna look.
Nick at how was out for a while too. But he's out, so.
They both had over 100 yards last week, which is just crazy. Like,
man, if Mahar would have lost, he beat Ricky by 2 points, and if he would have lost, Nick Chubb ran out of bounds at the 1 yard line.
Mm-hmm.
See that? That would have been the difference if Mahar would have lost. That would have been heartbreaking, but luckily he still won.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, Julio's been a 14th ranked wide receiver.
He's
been startable for Gotti. I'd say that trade's like kind of a nice fair trade, I'd say. I mean, honestly, usually there's like a blockbuster every year that kind of changes the course of the season, and I'm not sure we've really had that this year.
Yeah.
But there's been some good FA pickups. And to me, there's been one FA pickup that stands above all others. And it was Ryan Hartz picking up James Robinson because he had no running backs at all, and it was a real problem for him. And James Robinson's been a top 5 running back.
He didn't have to. That wasn't even budget either. That was like straight free agency too, wasn't it?
Let's take a look.
I think he said that it was straight. Didn't have to pay for him either.
It doesn't look like he had to pay for him at all.
Unbelievable.
I mean, that's pretty crazy. And now Zach Moss is kind of coming on a little bit, although I think he had a good game and then he had a shit game. But anyway, he at least has 2 guys that he can start now. I mean, he had nobody before, and I mean that's just a stroke of genius picking up James Robinson. And then also thinking Justin Jefferson was a good pickup, but how great can it be when it's on a shit team like Geno's? So I mean, it really doesn't move the needle too much.
For how bad like his running backs and quarterbacks are, like the picks that he made at wide receiver kind of incredible.
Yeah.
Like, the three wide receivers are like probably top 3 wide receivers, and then he had Diggs who was like number 4. So he literally picked like the top 5 wide receivers. Like,
and honestly, I tried to get DK Metcalf from him like 10 times, and honestly, I was not meeting his actual value because I thought like he's going to be desperate to give him away. He needs to give him away because he can only start 2. You can only start 2 of them.
All right, that's why I went after Diggs. Honestly,
yeah, it's a shame that he has to bench one of those wide receivers. Quite honestly, it's like
that's why crazy. I attacked Diggs because I figured he would he would get rid of him pretty easily since. And I think he needed a tight end. I thought it was a perfect trade bait there. But
and honestly, like you can't even really blame him too much, even though the deal ended up being lopsided. Mark Andrews hasn't been anywhere near where he was last year.
Yeah,
I mean, he would never in any instance start Diggs.
Right.
Anyway, you know.
I'm curious, who did you offer to him? Do you remember who you offered?
Yeah, I was doing packages with Swift and plus a wide receiver, but like I was trying to do, I think I did like Swift plus Scary Terry.
You're a little bit late.
I think, or it might have been. Hey, Mondo. It might have been someone, I don't know. I wasn't meeting his true value because he wanted to have Kyler Murray or Mahomes, and I didn't want to give up one of my quarterbacks. So
yeah. Honestly, like probably at the time, I understand like why he wouldn't want to jump with Swift, but like looking at it right now, like he might have probably should have made that move because like I feel like Swift he's getting better and better every week. Like
I'm so happy I kept him, even though I was trying to shop him at a certain point.
That dude's gonna be a machine for you, I think, down the stretch here.
Yeah, it seems like he could be, and I'm not saying he's going to be, but there's always one guy that comes on late that helps win seasons for people. Like last year, it was Devontae Parker just went on like a career-changing span in the last like 7 weeks for Hartz. Swift could be that guy. They're finally giving him the touches he needs. So. Yeah, but that was definitely interesting. Gotti, while you were gone, we were talking about some of the trades and acquisitions. Like I thought, obviously, Hani picking up James Robinson, getting a top 5 running back is, it's just this kind of thing you dream about when you make a claim. And then we were just you talking about going through some of the trades. Like honestly, even your trade with Noon, I mean, it's not it didn't move the needle. At the end of the day, probably better for you because you got because your team's good, and if you didn't have, you'd probably be starting Jerry Jeudy, who's more boom or bust than Julio. But I mean, at the same time, Kareem Hunt's been a top 10 running back. So I mean, there's really been no like real needle movers, I don't think.
Yeah, I think you guys just touched on the moral of the story here, though, with this format, and I think I realized it pretty early on. It's pointless to have 3 good players at running back or wide receiver because you cannot use them.
And that's a problem to me. Yeah.
That
big problem.
It does no good. I literally can't. Are you going to play him over Aaron Jones or Dalvin Cook? No. Right? And I had McKinnon and Jerry Jeudy, so I shipped them for Julio. I wasn't sure, like, Julio injury. He's hot and cold, but he's Julio, right? So I made the move, figured I'd give it a go. It's worked out pretty good so far, but again, I wasn't going to be using any of those 3 players, so why not give him to Noon? He ends up dropping Jeudy anyway, so I had to try to start this week. But
yeah. But I mean, I think we need to add a flex next year.
Who dropped Jeudy?
Noon.
Wait, you picked him up?
Yeah, well, I had him, and then I traded him, and then I picked him up again.
I didn't even know.
I knew he was part of the deal, but I thought you got him back as part of the deal. That's crazy.
That's hilarious.
No, I got Gallup, who I also dropped because he's trash. But
yeah.
But yeah, I think in similar trades, what you were saying, like, Hani wanted to get one of your big quarterbacks for DK because he's unbelievable. But this guy, he's not going to play him probably over Tyreek, and who's he have, Devontae too, or he's got 2 stud wide receivers, and
he's got Tyreek.
So like you're not going to give up too much because he can't play that guy, and that's where like I think Mocilan, you maybe gave up Mark Andrews, who at the time would be a lot more value.
Yeah,
and like tight end sucks. You need a wide receiver. I don't know. I think those are kind of the deals. I was trying to remember if there was anybody that spent a lot of fab on somebody that sucked. And I know there was a couple early on. Like
Ghilani, Malcolm Brown.
Who picked up Nyheim Hines?
I think I dropped like 40 on Hines, and
Ghilani had like 50 on Malcolm Brown, didn't he?
And he dropped like 50 on Brown. Although I'm kind of kicking myself for dropping Hines now because he's all of a sudden scoring tutties like there's no tomorrow. But
just 1 week, just this week.
Last 2 weeks he's been good.
I got a lot of a lot of crap for my 70 on Herbie Hancock, but I mean, obviously it's funny. It was more funny because no one but the crazy thing is how did no one put bids on him? That's why I bid so much. I figured everyone would be all over him. And like Tua too. Like Tua was sitting out there as a free agent
because of the stupid 2 QB thing. It's so dumb. No one can.
Than like 70%
Here's the thing.
Of quarterbacks roster.
I don't know. No one wanted to.
Connor has Mahomes and Kyler. Would he ever drop a cent on another quarterback? No, he's never dropping this guy.
But like Onhart and Andrew. Andrew is rostering Carson Wentz, as Skip Bayless would say, Wentz, W-I-N-C. Drew Lock. Honey has Teddy Bridgewater and Matthew Stafford. You're telling me out of those 4 guys, you wouldn't rather have Justin Herbert or Tua Tagovailoa?
I agree.
Tua's sitting out there. Like, how you not drop like Teddy B for Tua? I would have done that.
Well, I don't know. Tua is fine for the Dolphins because they have a good defense and some good skill players, but he's not like a game changer at quarterback. He had like 14 points last week.
He's got some upside.
I think he's going to come playoff time. He's going to be a force to be reckoned with.
We'll see.
Definitely could be. But, I mean, Mocilan, what do you expect from the penis suckers, though, right? I mean,
dude, Skip Bayless cracks me up to go back to him. Like, with his, like, sayings, like, wins. And then he calls the NFL or the NFC East the NFC least. Now, did you see that?
Yeah, dude, I'm hoping the Washington football team comes out on top of the NFC. They lost a heartbreaker against Detroit, though.
Yeah, how about Alex Smith?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, at the end of the day, both those teams should be losing games. I can't believe Detroit hasn't fired Fat Patricia yet, but I guess they're giving him till the end of the season. But what a disaster he is. Shouts out to Hani. Anyway, let's go ahead and do some Week 11 predictions. What do you guys think about that? That could be fun.
Yeah,
because things are honestly there's teams, there's three or four teams that are out of it, but there's 7 or 8 teams fighting for 6 playoff spots, and a few of them are locked up. I think 3 of them are probably locked up. If you look at it, I think I've got it locked up. Gotti's got it locked up, and Andrew's got it locked up. But anything could happen. Honestly, we have a couple big games this week, so just starting at the top of what I see here. I don't even think we have to talk about this one. I'm facing Noon. If I lose to Noon, I might as well just pack it in for the year and say it's been a fun run.
Can I back forward a little bit with myself? Like, you think 7 wins? I think I'm pretty. I feel like it's gonna take a lot for me to something crazy to happen for me to get out at this point.
You're in good shape, but you've got a big game against a division rival coming up. It's first place versus second place.
I play both of them.
Yeah, and that's honestly, that's why we do the schedule like this. We got the first 3 weeks of the season, you're going to play your 2 division rivals, and the last 3 weeks of the season, you're going to play your 2 division rivals. And that's why we do this. Moch, you got some big games coming up against some tough competition.
And I'm without my freaking best quarterback and wide receiver next week.
Yeah, bye weeks have been tough, man.
With the super flex, that's what's bullshit, man. Seriously though, I have a big matchup coming up, and we play this 2 quarterback bullshit, and we can only roster 2 quartersbacks.
No,
I have to face playing my biggest week of the year without my best quarterback.
Yeah, I hate the 2 quarterback thing, but on the other hand, that's why guys like Herbie Hancock and Tua have been out there because of the 2 quarterbacks thing. So it's worked by design, but I don't like it either. And luckily, I beat Hartz without starting a quarterback.
I don't love it either, but the fact that you have to play these big matchups, and I know it's even among everybody. Everyone has the same these same weeks, but still, it's stupid. This week could be so much more exciting if we can both have our full roster, at least similar. Not such a disadvantage.
It sucks, but you have a deep enough team that you can still win this week.
Yeah.
So we got another game here between Hartz and Gotti. Hartz really needs a win because he's one of the teams that's fighting for a playoff spot.
Who's he playing?
He's playing Gotti.
Oh,
It's a
get
must
him out,
win.
Gotti. That sucks. Must win.
And
playing against
Gotti,
the best team.
luckily for Gotti, he doesn't have anyone important on bye. No one that he'd start is on bye.
Yeah, Hartz is
So-
screwed.
And Drew Brees, honestly, Drew Brees, they're saying he might miss some time. Yeah, I think you might be able to stick a fork in Hartz.
Nope. You know who Hartz? You know who's gonna be coming on Hartz' roster?
Oh shit! Jameis time.
Jameis
time.
Hart's
Yep.
gonna win the ship now. He's gonna get Jameis on his team again.
Oh God.
Someone better pick him up.
Someone
better get Andrew. But we gotta tell Andrew to snag him because he's got the budget money.
Honestly, I hate to say it, but Hart's team is good. Hartz has a good team. It's not a great team because his quarterbacks are so bad. But
outside his quarterbacks, his team's great.
I mean, AJ Brown is an absolute stud. Ronald Jones has been great.
Yeah.
DeAndre Hopkins is who he is. Jonnu Smith is a stud. Like he's got a pretty good team. Miles Sanders, unfortunately he's had all those, all that time he missed and stuff, but it's not a bad team at all from Hartz. Hate to say it, I mean.
Yeah, it's a good squad. Hopefully he picks terrible quarterbacks again.
All right, so who are we going with our pick? Was this the first matchup we discussed? Gotti versus Hartz?
Yeah, Gotti and Hartz. I mean, I got to say Gotti just because, Hartz has injuries and Gotti doesn't.
Gotti's the man. That's why.
Knock him out. Knock him out, Gotti.
Then we got a kind of a inconsequential game, but hopefully they still have fun. We have Gino versus Ghilani, the battle of the bottom dwellers here.
This could have loser punishment implications, right, Mitch?
Yep. Yeah. Let's see here. Ghilani's currently favored by a couple points. He's going to have Zeke back in the lineup, Amari back in the lineup. I mean, I don't see any reason not to say Ghilani's going to win. Lamar's facing Tennessee, kind of a tough matchup there. So,
let's just hope Ghilani puts in his lineup to get the victory. I mean, that's going to be the number one fact.
Yeah. Do we think that was an accident, or you think he's?
I don't think this was talked about enough. But when I beat him, he had a person that was out in his starting lineup.
Yeah, he said it was a mistake, but I'm wondering if we believe that it was a mistake, or is he just mad because he, hasn't been good and he doesn't care. You know what I mean?
Like, I would have said something, but I didn't even realize till after the game started. I'm like,
who was out?
Chris Carson.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah, I don't know.
He probably would have beaten me. Honestly, it would have been close if he would have played someone. I didn't blow him out by any means, if I recall.
Yeah. What was the year? Was it last year when Ghilani's team was really bad, and finally his team went off, but he was playing Wheezy, and Wheezy's team went off even more. He scored like 140 points. He's like up 5, and Wheezy scores 150.
Oh God, that hurts.
Ghilani luck, man.
Oh man, he was ranting and raving. Poor guy.
Only against Ghilani. Poor guy.
So we might say here, looking ahead at the next game, oozing machismo versus Andrew, the battle of the brothers. Honestly, Hani needs this game. I don't know if he needs it, but Hani really wants this game.
As discussed this morning, Billy, you weren't in it, but Mayer was calling Hani out. He's saying he's on his ass.
Okay.
Mayer's on his ass, man.
What's his
only a game behind.
Terrible draft.
Really?
Yeah,
He's only a game behind?
Mayer's 5-5 now after this week, and Hani's 6-4.
Oh my God, I feel like Mayer's team isn't good. How is he 5-5? That's crazy.
5-5, man. Yeah, crazy.
Yes, his team's terrible, but he's 5.
Okay, well then we've got a bunch of big games this week. So we have Machismo and Andrew.
That's a big matchup.
Honestly, this is really tough for Hani because he has 2 banged up quarterbacks, Stafford and Bridgewater, both kind of banged up.
I feel like Jameis might be a hot commodity on the waiver wire this week.
Yeah,
amongst a bunch of teams.
I might pick up a quarterback just to mess with him.
Yeah. Yeah. Is there any significant buys in that Hani Andrew matchup?
It looks like Allen Robinson's on a bye, which is tough. And then, I mean, Zach Moss, but who cares?
Yeah. I feel like
honestly, this is a toss-up. I don't even know if I can make a prediction here without doing a deeper dive. I mean,
well, you got to see what their rosters are going to be, because there's obviously going to be acquisitions on both teams, probably.
Yeah, definitely. Moving on to the next one. Obviously, we mentioned this huge game. Rick's. Is Rick going to win this week?
Yeah, okay. I'm not feeling great about it. I mean,
so Rick's one game back to tie Moch potentially for the lead in the division.
He's 2 games right now. He lost. I won, so it's 2.
Oh, okay. All right, that's huge. That's huge for you.
But not feeling great about it, obviously, because my disadvantage. But you never know.
Yeah, I mean, so Moch, you're not going to have obviously Josh Allen, but you're going to throw AB.
Yeah.
Or Diggs. Oh, that's tough.
Yeah. Oh, that's tough. I mean, I'll have AB, which hopefully AB's been on the rise. He's been getting more and more targets each week. And maybe I don't know if I'm going to throw Mike Williams in there. They're playing the Jets, so Mike Williams might be a good play there. I might look to.
What about Wayne Gallman? Didn't he have a couple tutties this week?
He's on a bye too, but yeah.
God.
Wayne Gallman, man, he's solid. I'm actually happy with that pickup.
Yeah.
He might be actually huge for me. I might be playing him over CEH down the stretch, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, if it keeps going the way it's going, you might as well, Yeah.
That's really interesting though, Moch. One thing, just to let make you feel a little bit better is, you're talking about I might have to play like AB this week. Like, it's pretty slim pickings around the league. Like, AB is not the worst bye week replacement player. Like,
not at all.
Like Melvin Gordon. I mean, he's fucking terrible.
AB got his targets. He did pretty well. So, I mean, it'd be nice and he actually could have had a touchdown. I think he was open in the end zone and Drew Tom Brady overthrew him.
Yeah, I heard it was like a 50-yard bomb that he completely missed.
He's probably gonna get 50-yard floor, and then if he goes off or has gets a touchdown, get points there.
I'm a little worried. I don't know if you guys saw those news today that he fought his security guard at his housing complex.
I mean, he's an idiot, but I'm not sure it'll affect his status.
I think no charges, right? No charges.
Apparently, they knew about it when they signed him, so hopefully that's
so I'm sure he's fine. Although I'm gonna have to give Ricky a slight edge, but hey, this is why we play the games, right? This is why we do the rivalry weeks. This is exciting, man.
Yeah, Ben's playing the Jaguars, and Russell Wilson's playing the Cardinals. So I mean, that's tough.
Yeah, the Jags are kind of Ben Roethlisberger's kryptonite, but they're just so bad. They're just so bad.
Ben's gonna torch them.
Sure. Let's see. The last matchup of the week, we got your bye week at a surprising 5-5 against Wheezy. Let's see here. Is
playoffs losers out probably there, right?
Yeah. Wheezy needs his guys to show up. I actually really wanted to get either Jonathan Taylor or Chase Edmonds from him 2 or 3 weeks ago, and honestly, I'm glad I didn't, because since then they've both been just boss, man.
Wheezy's team's falling apart, man. Honestly, Naheem Hines is taking that job in Indianapolis. He's looked like the best back, and
he's not getting the touches.
And Chase Edmonds and Drake are both they're both the same. There's no lead candidate there. They're both just getting splits, and it's just tough.
Honestly, when you look at his team. It's actually kudos to him. He drafted really, really well.
Yeah.
CMC and George Kittle both. I mean, honestly, those are 2 of his top 3 picks, both out long term, and that's just crushed him. But he's still remained competitive. He still has talent there. I mean, we'll see. I'm obviously not a fan of. I'm not a fan of Mayer's team really, but honestly, this could go either way. Just because you just keep waiting. Is Mike Thomas just going to go off? Is he going to finally go off once and maybe win the week for him? Who knows?
Is Kittle? Does he have any chance to come back? He's still on his roster.
Well,
maybe he does.
They said he had an injury where he was going to be out like 8 weeks, but like he's a tough guy, so he was like, "Oh, I'll actually be back in 2." But I don't think anyone actually expects him to be back this week or next week.
He's been out for a few, but like to see, I mean, there's 3 weeks left before playoffs, right? Does he have any chance to get him back before playoffs?
Maybe, but like the Niners have been such a disappointment. Honestly, maybe the most disappointing team in the league this year. Like, are they even? They're not even in playoff contention. So
I mean, their whole starting lineup's hurt.
Well, it's like he hasn't played in 2 weeks, and he's still the tight end 4, and
that's crazy.
He has 2 games of 31 and 20.9.
Wow.
I'm just, he's the kind of guy that could win you the week if he's in. Despite how bad they've been, right?
I think first to 75 points wins that matchup.
Yep.
Classic Ghilani saying.
Yep.
Nice.
So I just want to do this real quick. Here's who I think is going to make the playoffs, and I think I'm not sure, it might be exactly who we have right now. But I think obviously Gotti's going to keep that 1 seed. I think we're going to have Andrew in that 2 seed. I think Mocilan is going to make it. I think I'm going to make it.
Yeah.
And then I think the final 2 teams to make it.
That's the most interesting one, yeah. Got to be Hani and Ricky, right?
Yeah, just because Wheezy's team's kind of falling apart.
It's not going to be Wheezy. Hartz, I don't think, because he's facing Gotti this week. That's going to be the crusher.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, Hart's falling apart. Wheezy falling apart. It's going to be Hani and Ricky, and honestly, that's damn near 70% of the field NSM. If we're lucky, we're going to get a NSM championship this year. But Gotti's going to have a few things to say about that.
Yeah, come on, Gotti. Can you let one of us have it this year? Huh?
I don't know. I'd be happy with any kind of money.
I'll tell you what, I do not give 1 iota of a crap about money. All I care about, and honestly, when I was awful for the past like 3 years, I was like, I don't care. I just want to make the playoffs. I just want to have a decent team. No, now that I have a decent team, I want to win. I want the squirrel, and I don't care about the money. I care all about the pride. I 100%. Care about the shit talking. 100%. I care about not being disrespected anymore by my peers.
Honestly, like I would love if you'd win it, Doyle. Because I'm always rooting for you, but like at the same time, like it's gonna be even crushing for me even more to know that like you got one and I still didn't. Like,
but it's like when Gotti won. It's like if I win, if Gotti can win, that means anyone can win.
Right.
Yeah.
And trust me, I'm gonna be rooting for you. I'm gonna be rooting for Ricky. I'm gonna be rooting for Andrew, I guess a little bit, although his team's better on paper than mine, so I'm not really rooting for him. But I'm going to be rooting for an NSM to finally win it.
Yeah. Somehow it's fun to root against or root for the Andrew collapse for some reason. He's such a nice guy. I don't know why I would root for that, but
yeah, because he comes through and posts funny stuff in the group me.
Yeah. I think it will be more entertaining though, like if Andrew won to hear his like shit talk of how he won. Like,
oh yeah. I can't even like.
That's not me. I think it's got to be Andrew, then Doyle number 2.
My brain can't even comprehend Andrew winning the league. Like I just can't even imagine it.
I think Hani might have like a coronary and collapse and die.
I guess what Connor said is right though too, because it does piss me off. Like I broke through that 1 year, and then I think I had a tough like points against year, but I still had like 5 or 6 wins. And then a good year last year, like missed playoffs by 1 game on a Hart's luck kind of thing, 0.5 point, but still not getting the respect. And I think you're right. That's I hope to make a deep run. Obviously, first 10 years or so of the league, I was the best player in the league. I'm admitting to that. Really, probably not even close. I'm sure it's not close in consistency of being bad. Wheezy's probably second, but really not close.
Yeah, God, you came a long way from the days that you'd wake up in the South Side at like 12:30 hungover. Or no, not 12:30. It was more like 2 o'clock because the games have already started. Look at your phone. Say fuck this. Throw your phone off the couch and go back to sleep.
Like 9 points, like 2 hours into the games.
That was one of my favorite times ever. Sitting on your couch while you're asleep.
Never forget it.
Goes back to sleep.
Well, that's what I'm saying. The last 4 years, I've been competitive. I've been a good team, definitely above average. So make a deep run and then hopefully start getting some respect.
Yeah.
Well, I certainly respect how you're doing this year. Any parting comments before we sign off? I would like to say, we're entering the rivalry weeks. I couldn't be any more excited. Get fired up. Let's do it. I'd like to say, just a big a boo to Ryan Hartz for not joining us on the pod. Like I said,
hope
his
he loses.
unexcused. And I think he didn't want to face the heat. He really prides himself on his shit talk, and maybe he just felt like, because his team was just so mediocre, he couldn't really talk too much shit, and he felt uncomfortable. And
yeah, I think he's got a lot of bad juju coming his way for not being on the pod tonight. Just like not writing the note, Like I think he's done.
Oh, I hope so.
Hard
Hey,
word.
gone.
My only parting comments is let's everybody out there, let's actually think of a good loser punishment. We can't have anything too crazy where people are getting tattoos on their nuts and they have to go places and they can't take care of their kids. We gotta find some middle ground, something that you don't want to do, but it's funny and it's not too bad. You'll still suck it up and do it.
Right.
Yeah, we don't want Mason Mahar eating value time mac and cheese.
Yeah. You're exactly right. We got to get something that people will actually do and not put up a huge fuss about.
Yeah, I feel like that's got to be a Hartz thing. I feel like Hartz is always good at coming up with something like that. Go see what he has to say.
Yeah, we'll consult him.
Can vote on it or something. Vote, everyone. We need to be voting. That's my final.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Let the people vote, boys. Let the people vote.
Yep.
All right, boys.
Well,
we'll see ya. We'll see you guys next week.
It's been real. Can't wait.